Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
And we're back again.
And again, we have Homeland Security talking about EMP attacks.
Yeah, we do. Again, so this has been a theme for them the last couple of years. They've put out a couple of warnings, and this is the newest one.
So it just says they're doing everything they can basically to prevent and protect the country, prevent an EMP attack and prevent the country from facing such a thing as Sassy is growling as she is worried about an EMP attack. It's interesting, the timing. There's been so many people having issues with technology, phone service. We've seen quite a few outages lately. We've seen a lot of suspicious things, a lot of trains derailing, et cetera, et cetera. And it's time, as we said before, to be as prepared as possible. As the government themselves have said, you better be ready for 6 months without the grid. And so with everything going on around us, and this right here is Cybersecurity and Infrastructure, CISA, Security Agency. And there's a link there that takes you to this, which is the report. It's the program status report for the electromagnetic pulse, EMP. Whether it's an EMP or a CME, at some point, probably in the not too distant future, we will be losing the grid for probably prolonged periods of time. And again, the government said be ready for 6 months without it. And it would really be a disaster because we are so dependent on the technology.
We are. So what they're saying here is that they're looking for and identifying things that might weaken the grid if they were hit, and then they're going to beef these things up. And I think we need to do the same at home.
So we talked about how when we went by in Nevada around Los Angeles, and in below Indian Springs area, we saw for the first time ever, defensive. It looked like defensive missile batteries. We'd never seen that before. They do have war games in the areas, and more lately than in the past, it seems. We did pass a ton of tanks as well. And then today, when we were driving, we saw a Chinook head over towards Hopi Land. And if you haven't seen one of those, that's one of those big two-propeller, huge helicopters. And then we saw a really unusual plane that was completely black. We did manage to get a blurry picture of the Chinook. That's the Chinook right there. And we're going to try to get the picture that we took of the black plane, which was really unusual, too. It just felt kind of weird. We'll see about getting a picture for you guys to see of that. And that was heading over towards Navajo land as well. So, interesting. These are very interesting times. Things are very tense, obviously, for many reasons. And over here we see state of emergency declared as California faces historic heat and possible outages. So there's lots of warnings about possible power outages just from the demand, as it's been so hot in the West. And we've had extreme weather everywhere you look, and the sun is starting to wake up a little with the magnetosphere in such decline. Any sort of solar activity, any sort of incoming electromagnetic storms can knock things out as well. So all this is reasons to be as self-sufficient as possible. And, if you just look at some of the headings that we see here, things are tense in the world. They're really tense on many, many different levels. So again, self-sufficiency, whatever you could do to provide that for you and your family is really one of the biggest keys right now.
It is, especially for your family, because if you're like us, your family members are probably still asleep. So do what you can to help prepare for them too, because they're going to be far more shocked than you will be.
And there's people that are asleep in all sorts of families, including our own. So when we're doing this on a daily basis, and there's still family members that are like, yeah, you think so, really? It can be frustrating, and if you're in the situation where perhaps a spouse or a parent doesn't understand, and you're trying to make them understand, can be frustrating. We just have to do our best to make everybody as aware as possible.
Absolutely. And strengthen the family ties too. Strengthen your ties with your friends. Even if they don't believe you, I think if you put some work into that now, it's going to pay off greatly.
Yeah, and we're facing many challenges, and we were talking about this today with some really good friends. And so, we have a lot of things that are coming at us. We have the earth changes, right? Then we also have all the tension within the country in the United States, as well as many other countries are facing similar tension with civil unrest. Then we have the tension war-wise with what's brewing out there, which appears to be the potential for a global conflict, which we haven't seen anything like that going back to the 1940s. And then we have financial Armageddon on us too when we look at it with the economic collapse. And then you could throw in the food shortages and the scarcities that's going on there with all the crop damages. And there's pick your poison. There's so many reasons to be prepared, and to not be prepared as best as you can these times is obviously not a good situation to find oneself in.
Absolutely not. You just don't want to be there. So even if it's just prepare the best you can. Nobody's going to be 100% ready, but you'll be happy with everything that you have done when it does come.
Yeah, one of our friends, they actually just brought, what was it, like 2 tons?
Yeah.
2 tons of corn that they are hauling home now. 2 tons. Talk about preparation. So everybody takes this and does what they can. That's really the bottom line. Just do what you can. Be prepared. And again, as always, prepare spiritually as well as physically and mentally. So guys, thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We couldn't do this without you. As always, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.